Hello, and welcome to Program 3 of IONU Music's 2021 Virtual Festival from the Williams College Department of Music. This program features faculty composers and performers from Williams, as well as alumni and some very good friends of ours. The past year, of course, has been challenging for everybody. For musicians, what this has meant is a disruption in our everyday musical lives of rehearsing, collaborating, teaching, performing, and especially of connecting with audiences. In many ways, this program was conceived as a means of addressing that. In this presentation, you will hear music and projects that were developed by the musicians involved themselves. These are things they were passionate about and wanted to share with you, the audience. In addition to the recorded performances that you will hear, we will also hear from each of the composers on the program and discussions between the performers and the composers. Thanks so much, and I hope you enjoy. Hello, my name is Matthew Gold. I'm a percussionist and director of IOFest, which is coming to you virtually this year. We will shortly be hearing me perform the first movement of a solo marimba work by Ileana Perez Velázquez. Ileana is a composer and a professor of music here at Williams College, and I'm delighted that she can join me today to talk about the work. I reached out to Ileana in January about writing a short solo marimba piece for me for the festival, and she responded enthusiastically and I think right away, and I was just really thrilled about that. It's a two-movement work, the first movement of which you'll be hearing tonight, Grasshopper, Trance, but hopefully the entire piece, both movements, live and in person in the very near future. I've been playing Ileana's music for years and listening to it, and I've always loved her percussion writing, her ear for it, her touch with it. I think she just has an amazing grasp of the colors and the rhythms and finds a way to make these instruments really come to life and speak. So I was thrilled to have a marimba piece from her. So welcome, Ileana.
Thank you. Thank you. And thank you for performing my marimba piece. That's exciting.
Of course. Well, I'd like to start by just asking, what was the inspiration for the work?
Well, you asked me to write the work on the January of this year, I believe, or maybe before, but I was too busy writing other works. Most likely that was the case. But when I had the time to sit down and write your piece, we had all going on elections and COVID, and there was a lot going on in life, and I was inspired by the idea of having a hope for a better future, and a better future in many different ways, a better future in our social life, in social justice in general, a better future in COVID for all of us to get to a point where our life get back more to normal. And fortunately, we have the vaccines, and so it seems that this better future it will come. And it's coming at some point. It's been a battle for everyone in the sense that it has not been easy. But we stay optimistic, and that's the point of the piece, to stay optimistic. And like a dance, and it's not a dance because it's not a groovy piece, but it's some sort of celebration of life.
Well, I appreciate that immensely. And, I think when you sent me the piece in late January, I think that's when it was, I was feeling that same hope. And, the winter wasn't necessarily easy, but spring is here. And definitely a sense of renewal with that and something to look forward to. I was wondering about your interest in percussion music. You've written a lot of percussion music, and I've played a lot of those pieces, and so many interesting sounds and instruments. Can you talk about your interest in percussion music?
I do totally love writing for percussion, and every time I have an opportunity to include percussion in my pieces, it's just something that I totally love. And if in any of my pieces don't have percussion, it's because the ensembles or whatever commission is said, sorry, we don't have a percussionist for the piece. Otherwise, percussion is always there. My love for percussion started by me being a Cuban, and in Cuba, percussion is very important. It's like an everyday life thing to happen in the kitchens, and people playing with all kind of stuff that they can hit on and in their hands. So especially non-pitch percussion is a really amazing thing because it's different than the other type of music. So yeah, I've always loved percussion, and it's just the timbre is very rich, the very many different things that one can do, and also the possibilities of rhythmic complexity and polyrhythm is something that is very important for me and my music, and percussion give me a very good opportunity for that. And especially percussionists are great and doing rhythms like so clearly and so perfect that it's really exciting to write for percussion.
Well, I appreciate that. And if I may say so, even in your works that don't actually have percussion instruments, I hear lots of percussion. I think those rhythms and those sounds are in, I think, all of your music that I know. So, yeah. Now, the marimba, you mentioned how non-pitched percussion allows all these kind of things, but of course the marimba is a pitched percussion instrument. And if I may say so, I find the marimba to be often a vexing instrument. It's large, it's unwieldy, it has all these colors and sound, but it's a little hard to control. But I think you've done a wonderful job of capturing those elements of the piece and bringing out its resonance and letting it express itself. But I'm wondering, how you approached writing for marimba.
Marimba is complex because some people say, hey, marimba is like a piano, just write like a piano. So no, there's nothing more different than a piano than a marimba. I mean, first of all, we have to think about the performer, how many mallets he had, how many notes they can play at the same time. You don't want them jumping like crazy from one register to another because it's a large instrument. And on top of that, each one of the registers sound different than the other. So sometimes the chords don't play as rich as they could if one doesn't get the right register mix and the right note. So it's really challenging. However, I love writing for marimba as well. And I love the idea of having a pitch that is kind of wooden. It's a pitch that is not so much pitch, but kind of a pitch. I don't know, just
Yes.
like something like that. So it gives some pitch preference, but it's still very percussive. And especially in the higher register that is more like a xylophone. So that contrast of that regional xylophone sound with the lower register that has a bit more of an envelope that you can make more mixed sounds with the tremolos. So one can create really interesting contrasts with the instrument.
Well, for sure. And you definitely hear this in this piece. So that's great. And then I wanted to ask you about, you said at the start that you've been doing a lot of composing and that you've been very busy with that, which is wonderful. What has it been like to write music during this past year that's been so unlike any other year?
It is very, very much of a challenge for many people. In my case, music has always been something that lifts my spirit. So if I am composing music, I'm much more happier than if I am not. So I write music, that's my thing. That's how I am happy, and that's what makes for me sense of life to me.
During this past year and all the, difficulties of it and the isolation, these kind of collaborations for me have been the most rewarding thing. And I think for musicians, it's hard for us to not be on stage together in the ways we usually are. But these kind of projects and these creative projects and working with people in this way has been really important. And it's great that we can, share it with audiences, even if it's, virtually. It's important to connect through music, and we're still doing that.
That's very true. And exactly what you said. It's just the perfect thing to say. Is have kept my optimism up and my hope for a better future and for us to connect together in person again at some point.
All right. Well, thank you, Ileana. Thank you for the piece, and thank you for talking today.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me. Bye.
Bye.
Hi everyone, I'm Daniel Godfrey, and I'm here to say a few words about my violin and piano piece entitled Paginula, a Latin word that means little page. So titled because it's a one-movement fantasy, very much like something that would be called album leaf in classic literature. I wrote the work as a contribution to a remarkable organization based at the New England Conservatory called Music for Food, where the world's best performers contribute their performances in concert and audience members contribute to attend, all donated towards food pantries and other organizations to combat food insecurity, domestic violence, and homelessness. Broadly speaking, the piece is built around a lyrical but episodic musical idea at the beginning and at the end, with somewhat contrasting and more sustained music in between. If the work relates to the spirit in which I intended it, it would be because there is a good deal of sharing. Sharing is perhaps the main feature of the piece, since every idea that's brought forth by the violin is shared by the piano, and everything that the piano introduces, the violin shares as well. Thanks for listening. I hope you enjoy it.
Hi, my name is Sato Matsui and I'm a composer. Right now I'm finishing my doctorate at the Juilliard School. Since the end of 2019, I have been living in Paris. I came here with a Fulbright grant to study the manuscripts of Eric Satie for my dissertation. During my 4 years at Williams College, I played my violin in the Berkshire Symphony with Ronnie Feldman. I was in the studio of Ioana Genova-Rudiakov. We're still very close. And I studied composition with David Keckley and with Ileana Perez Velázquez. Those were very formative years for me. And I even conducted the student symphony. I played in the IO Fest. Ever since graduating Williams College, I've kept in touch with a lot of my friends and colleagues from the music department. I've collaborated extensively with my friends like pianist Danny Schreiner and violist Lysander Jaffe. And I've also had the pleasure of collaborating with a lot of the faculty members, including my teacher, Ioana Genova-Rudiakov, and currently this past year with Aling. At the beginning of last year, Aling reached out to me to see if she could play a solo viola piece that I had written for my friend at Juilliard, whose name is Chloe Tomine. The piece is in 2 movements, and it explores the anatomy of the string instruments. And being a violinist myself, I love writing for string instruments. The piece definitely pays homage to Johann Sebastian Bach, whose body of work for solo violin and solo cello has inspired a lot of composers ever since. It plays not only with anatomy of the instrument, but also with counterpoint, the idea of having polyphony on a solo string instrument. The piece has a touch of traditional Japanese sonorities, which is something that is often found in my music. Over the past few years, Matt has invited me back to be a part of Ioni Music Festival, and I always look forward to coming back to the stage where I used to play and to be making music again with everyone. This year, I'm very excited to be part of this virtual concert series. It has been a challenging year for a lot of musicians, and I think it's really wonderful that Matt is continuing this concert series virtually. But it's also a very exciting time. I think it's very imperative that we find ways to continue making music, to continue to listen to one another, to continue to share new music, new ideas. And for me, being a part of a concert series like this gives me a lot of hope that we can always adapt to the world that we are part of and continue finding ways to make music and to inspire one another. So I want to thank Matt Gold one more time for giving me this chance to connect with you, to share my music with you. I also want to thank my collaborator, Aling, who has put in enormous amount of time and work into playing my music so beautifully. I also want to thank you for being part of this concert experience, and I hope that you enjoy the music.
Hello, I'm Ling Neu. I teach viola at Williams College and also chamber music. And I'm the violist of the Kazakh Quartet. I'm joined today by my colleagues from Williams College, Muneko Otani, who teaches violin and chamber music, and Zachary Wadsworth, who teaches composition and theory, I believe. And also the composer of the piece that you will hear, Rocket. So I just like to give you a brief background on the piece as to how this piece was born. So the Kazakh Quartet was fortunate enough to collaborate with the wonderful Clark Institute back in 2019 to present a concert. And we thought rather than present a traditional program, why not join forces with the composers from Williams College and somehow connect the arts from the Clark Institute with the music. And so we asked the three composers at Williams College, Zachary, Ileana, Perez, Velázquez, and Dylan Schneider, who had subbed for Zachary while he was on a sabbatical. And we couldn't be happier with the results. The pieces were wonderful, they were imaginative, they were exciting. And yeah, and at the concert, we also had the curator from the Art Institute give a little discussion before each of the performances with the image projected behind the stage, behind the quartet. And I think it was quite a success, and we really enjoy playing them, and we're so happy that there are now in our repertoire. So I'm going to hand it over to Zach, and he could talk about the piece a little bit.
Thank you, Ling. It was so much fun to work on this piece with the Kazakh Quartet, and I'm so thrilled with how everything worked out with the premiere and with this video recording. And I was also excited to be asked to write the piece because I love, as a composer, to write in response to other artists' work, whether that be text or painting or architecture. And so here, the idea of writing a piece in response to a painting in the Clark collection was really exciting. And this, I'm not a very good museum goer. I tend to blast past a lot of paintings. And this painting by Turner called Rockets, Blue Lights Close at Hand to Warn Steamboats of Shoal Waters. This painting, which is meant to show this moment of real activity as rockets are being sent up to warn ships that they might be too close to the land during a storm. I was transfixed and stood and stared for so long at this painting. I thought it was amazing to represent such frenzied activity in a frozen way on a painting. And that seemed to me so musical, something that could be acted out in music. The idea of this intense activity where things keep freezing, or where you approach a canvas and start to realize that you're seeing activity in this frozen canvas. So that was such an evocative image from which to compose. And I think, you know, this piece obviously starts with very static sounds, very repetitive sounds and slow forms, and then suddenly activity just bursts out and will freeze frame occasionally and then burst back into activity again. So it's a wonderful thing to explore writing this piece. And I think, again, that the quartet has just brought it to life so vividly in this performance. And I'm so thankful for that. So I'll turn it over now to Muneko to talk about the process of bringing a piece like this to life and to recording.
Yeah, so I just want to add a couple more things. Our group is named after Mary Cassatt. It's named Mary Cassatt as American Impressionist painter. And we're so inspired by her painting. She is almost the first person started painting women as actually person, which is quite an inspiration for us. And her forward-looking the techniques, and also tradition coming from the transition, from Impressionist school. And she basically start working her own style. So this is very much inspiration for our name. So commissioning all the new works based on painting is our sort of mission, a part of our mission. Anyway, so that was so great to have those 3 pieces and go back to the recording process. And also particularly this year, we did a lot of video recording because pandemic and we can't perform in person. But it was a really wonderful studio we found during the pandemic. It's called Oktaven Studio. And Zachary came down even prior to that recording to the New York City, and we played for him, worked really hard again, and tape ourselves. And actual Oktaven Studio, actual videotaping, that was almost most smoothest recording session I ever attended. So we not only we had a wonderful composer and very articulate at the recording session, he Zachary lead us what he really wanted to get to it from his music, and the sound engineer was wonderful too. That totally helped us. And when I heard first time around, listen back, everything was there. So I'm really wanted to congratulate Zachary. This is a premiere also, but a different level of work. You did amazing. You were amazing artist. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And thank you for all of the artistry you've brought to this performance. I think this was a wonderful bookend to the pandemic, to have it premiered just before the pandemic.
That's
and here,
true.
as we see the light at the end of the tunnel, hopefully, knock wood, to be revisiting this piece is really special.
Enjoy.
Enjoy.
Enjoy it. Thank you.